President Donald J. Trump said the gangs are invading the United States, but it seems to be that the ones arriving are the gangs as victims. A wave of unaccompanied children from Honduras, Nicaragua, and El Salvador have been knocking on USA's doors, fleeing gang violence, escaping recruitment, assassination threats, and poverty.
Primeramente, el futuro de mi hijo me obligó a salir de ahí, porque no hay así como que mucho futuro, así que decidí salir de mi país por la inseguridad que hay en nuestro país, la violencia.
Differently from past migration waves with plans and intentions to avoid border patrol at all costs, large groups of families and even unaccompanied children take a great number of risks just to get to a U.S. border checkpoint and ask for asylum. The Zero Tolerance Directive turns walking across the border into a crime and orders every state attorney to press mandatory criminal charges for those crossing the border. This means that those individuals will be immediately removed and sent to federal detention centers and therefore cannot take care of children or minors accompanying them. The children and minors will be placed in the care of the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, more exactly the Office of Refugee Resettlement.
Ese era el temor más grande, que me separaran de mis hijos, ya que yo los vengo cubriendo de Honduras, del peligro, y ya imagine que me los quitan aquí. No sé qué haría, pues que yo que me enloquezco, siempre pienso en el día y en la noche cuando miro a mis hijos.
In the month that lasted the family separation policy, according to NPR, 2,342 children were taken away from their relatives and placed in detention centers for processing and eventual transfer to detention care facilities. But even before the president backed down from his separation policy, some families had already been reunified. Thanks to the work of pro bono lawyers and advocates like the ones at the Florence Project, providing legal services to detained migrants and their families. Also thanks to activists like those working with the Phoenix Restoration Project.
I worked with one woman, picked her up at the bus station one night, or one morning. She was supposed to take the bus to go to Florida, but she was not going to leave because her daughter was not with her. So we took her home and we worked with the Phoenix Restoration, which we're a part of, to find what we could do to find the daughter. And I made a number of phone calls over to Yuma because we heard that that may be where she was. And no one in the Yuma Child's Department knew where she was. Left messages and talked to 3 different people and also another person, and they did not know where she was. Then this child was a U.S. citizen, and I have no idea why they did not send that child to the family where this person eventually did go. But she was a U.S. citizen born in California. She was about 12 years old. Yep, about 12 years old.
Cases like these are possible because, unlike the people walking across the border, and because they are not fighting a criminal case but an immigration one, those entering the country at ports of entry after initial processing and detention are entitled to seek asylum and have a legal opportunity to fight their cases in court, be released, and even to get reunified with their children here in the United States, pending their immigration cases. It is important to notice the difference between those who simply walk over the border and those who surrender themselves at ports of entry. The latter group will not be prosecuted, according to U.S. General Attorney Jeff B. Sessions, who, defending his immigration policy in Fox News, said,
if they enter the country at a port of entry, and there are many of those along the border, they are not violating the law. The mother or father in that circumstance would not be prosecuted, and the families stay together.
However, the lawyers from the Florence Project have observed that this is not the case, and there have been separations at ports of entry, as they confirmed to us in a written statement.
The Florence Project is the only organization in Arizona providing free legal and social services to detained immigrants, including parents and children who have been separated. We have met with parents and children who were separated after seeking protection at a port of entry. We believe that the practice of forcibly separating families is cruel and inhumane.
As far as the people caught crossing the border with their children, they will be detained and charged, will face 6 months prison time, repeaters will face 2 years prison time, and after paying their sentences, they will be deported.
Nos meten cada quien a una celda con las dichosas hieleras, con un frío horrible, nosotras las mujeres en el suelo, con un plástico encima nada más, y ahí, sí, a los niños sí les pusieron una colchoneta, pero igual no para cubrirse nada, y hace un frío, pero frío ahí. Estuvimos nosotros 4 días ahí. Estuvimos mi hijo y yo 4 días y mi esposo también.
After the signing of the executive directive to stop the separation of families, the Trump administration has offered a way for those parents who accept being deported to be sent back, accompanied by their children. The ones who choose to stay and fight their cases in court face a much more complicated path. Their children, at the care of Health and Human Services, will be trapped in detention centers, care institutions, until they are claimed. Veronica Monge, a local mom and activist, emphasizes the importance of supporting organizations that shelter and support these kids, who can suffer even harder detention conditions if they turn 18 and they haven't been claimed.
After someone turns the age of 18, when they are released, if they don't have anywhere to go, then they could go to an adult detention center.
There is already a generation of American kids who have been severely impacted by family separation. Something that has happened since a decade ago, albeit different circumstances.
I hear a lot of stories of separation of families. A lot of people have family members in Florence or in ICE detention.
Hermina Sanchez, an activist from Central United Methodist Church, knows about a number of similar cases.
Esos niños se enfrentan a una realidad muy dura porque son niños que quedan a veces con un tío, con una tía, con un hermano, que ese hermano es muy difícil para un hermano que es joven tener que trabajar y cuidar a sus hermanitos.
But why is this happening? Was an escalation in cruelty necessary? Is it necessary to stop immigration from the South? A growing economy relies on a growing population, and with birth rates in the USA reaching record lows in 2018 and in constant decline since 1971, some economists suggest the future of the United States economy could rely on migrant population to keep up with its growth. In other words, a declining population could pose serious challenges in the future. So the United States economy needs all those future workers, shoppers, and taxpayers to be able to maintain a functionable economy of growth. Never mind keeping its place as a world leader. But others, like Arizona State Representative Dave Stringer, see these kids as an existential threat.
60% of public school children in the state of Arizona today are minorities. That complicates racial integration because there aren't enough white kids to go around. When you look at that 60% number for our public school students, just carry that forward 10 years, 15 years, it's going to change the demographic voting base of this state, and that's what's going on around the country.
Stringer speaks of the demographic voting base around the country changing, and he is right. If you look at the demographic charts of the city of Phoenix, you'll notice that after that generational shift takes place in 15 years, it is easy to imagine that an anti-immigrant party can never win an election in a context of white people being a 40% minority, as it is the case in the early ages brackets. With an endless flow of refugees percolating the south border, that difference could increase at an even larger rate. So do they want to make a wall and imprison families indefinitely just so they can keep winning elections, even at the cost of their own country's economic well-being? Stringer himself says it openly.
Immigration is politically destabilizing. President Trump has talked about this. I'm very concerned about this. This immigration today represents an existential threat to the United States. If we don't do something about immigration very, very soon, the demographics of our country will be irrevocably changed, and we will be a very different country. It will not be the country you were born into.
Which begs the question, does having a larger multiracial population assures electoral victories for the Democratic Party? It is not written in stone, especially because Democrats have separated about 4 million families already. And those children that grew up with no father or mother or both will not forget as easily as the rest. For the Real News from Arizona, this is Oscar Leon.